this is what people don't understand about the Lock. They work well together in pocket, all three of them.
That's what's always nice to see about those dudes. They're not beefing, they're not doing this, and they focused on the culture, they focused on music and uplifting people. The best show about books and hip hop on earth, which is apparently now flat. What's good, family, and welcome to Books, Rhymes, and Life, the best show about books and hip hop on earth, which is apparently now flat. Before we get started, go ahead and smash that like and subscribe button on YouTube and ring that notification bell, that championship bell. Ding dong. I got my two good friends with me as always. My man Absolute, my man Camo. And this week we have one of my favorite topics to talk about, Posse Cuts. Posse Cuts are always my favorite type of track when they're done right, man. How do y'all feel about the Posse Cuts, fellas?
I'm with it.
Hey, man, look, it's always good to have a little crew track, man. Like, just have a bunch of the fellas and everybody spitting this. I mean, you rarely hear a non, like, energy, like, charging crew track, right? Like, outside the crossroads. But other than that, you know what I'm saying? You never really hear a song that's downbeat on them, man. A good posse cut always gets you hype.
Yeah, them seem to be real.
Yeah, we got a top 10 list here that we came up with. Same style as usual, MVP style voting to get us our top 10, but we're only going to focus on the top 5 here in the discussion. The rest of it will be listed in the comments so you can have the full list and you can hate on the entire list if you want to. Or what you should do is go listen to all those tracks because they're at least worth listening to no matter what you think about them. No sense in playing this thing out. Slow, study long, study wrong. So let's get this party started off right. The top posse cuts in rap history coming in at number 5. Got My Mind Made Up by Tupac featuring the Dogg Pound with Method Man and Redman. This was on All Eyes on Me. And just a quick note on this. It was originally intended to be a Dogg Pound song with Meth Red and Inspector Deck. But when Tupac came over to Death Row, Suge got all the artists to take their current projects and push them all to Tupac. Tupac just replaced Inspector Deck on there, but that's still why you can hear Inspector Deck's beat stamp on the end of it, because I wondered about that for years, and I looked it up and found several sources that told me that. Absolute, let's start with you, man. The song came out at the height of the East-West Coast beef in the 90s. What did it mean to have these artists on the same track at that time?
Hi, that's the Rebel. Sorry, I had to do that. I had to do that. First of all, man, I loved it. You know what I'm saying? I love seeing Death Row, bring in some East Coast artists at that time. Bringing Red and Meth was perfect because, like, they weren't really attached to any part of the beat, but they were still heavy spitters, right? So it was very smart, I think, by Suge to say, like, look here, man, if we're going to bring these dudes in, let's bring in some dudes to make a hit. On the other note, I've heard the Inspector Deck verse. It's dope. But I ain't mad that they left it off for Pac's verse, personally. Like, I mean, I'm just not. I mean, they could have added it if they wanted to, but I'm just not. And I challenge anybody, right? Go listen to both versions. It's a better song. It's a better song. The case, the cadence, everything picks up with Pac's verse versus Inspector Deck's verse. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I said the same thing. I just heard that verse not very long ago, but it is a really good verse from Inspector Deck, and I liked it too, but I wouldn't be mad at either version, to be honest. Like, I'm not mad at either version, but that song on that album with Tupac was just because of the album it was on. That was pretty special. That to add that just another element to go with that album.
Yeah, it was fire.
And is it just? I was gonna say, is it just me or? Because I personally find it as a nice little Easter egg when someone where you just hear the ad libs but don't hear a verse from him, or sometimes like another artist does the ad libs for not his verse. I like little nugget. You don't get that all the time in songs. So the fact that it was left off and everybody, you're a Wu-Tang fan, you definitely recognize that voice and that tag and everything. So yeah, it leaves you to wonder and you have to dig and find out about it. But I wasn't mad at that at all. I kind of like little things like that here and there.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna ask what is it that makes that song so powerful for you?
It's probably, if not my favorite, definitely one of my go-tos on there, and that's saying a lot. As fire as that whole album is, both discs, it's special for me because, like you say, you don't get to see them align with those forces from the East Coast, like all of that's going on. And who better to throw in with a favorite artist like Pac than some other favorite artists like Red and Math? I think all of us were like kids in candy shops when we was like, what? They did what? Yeah, I'm here for this whole thing. You know what I mean?
Y'all are right about that was the perfect pick. Whatever A&R was responsible for that, that's the perfect pick, Meth and Red, because they weren't involved in any of that, and they weren't the type of people to get involved in any of that beef either. Because if you go and listen to Method Man's interviews, I think I've recommended this before when he did do the recording down there. It's a really funny interview, but yeah, it was cool because, they were there for the hip hop. They were there for doing that for the culture, and that's what makes it special. All right, so I'll start with Absolute. Last question on this song: who had the best verse? Who had the weakest? And let me let everybody know, and my host, let everybody know, when we say who had the weakest verse, we are not calling it a bad verse or that person a wag rap. We are just saying that there were a lot of people on this song, and somebody had to have the weakest verse, and I'm sorry, it was you.
That's a good question. I'm glad he went to you for that one. Let's hear what you got to say.
Hey, look, I'm ready. First of all, common folk would want to say Pac had the best verse. Not I, but common folk. And if you say Pac had the best verse on an All Eyes on Me track, thumbs up to you. But for me, the best verse was Method. The wordplay on that verse was ridiculous. And it fit in a pocket that until he was on that song, you would have never thought a Method Man could fit in a pocket to a West Coast beat and really just bang it out.
No.
But he really did like his thing. Like it fit so nicely that it was clean, right? It had some comedy to it. It had some depth and some layers, but it was just a clean verse. And for me, it was my favorite. My least favorite verse was Daz's verse. And the reason why it was my least favorite, it was like Suge was like the death row uncle, and Tupac was coming over, and he had to let him play with his toys. So like he did the verse, like he didn't really want to. Like Daz didn't really have no energy on his verse. Like he was like, he did it because he had to do it, but like he was angry that he had to share his toys, like because that was supposed to be, like you said, a dog food, dog pound situation.
You're
and
saying
so the fact that they gave it to Pac, he was like,
so you're saying that he did that verse with his arms crossed,
like this whole time, whole time. But that's for me.
Camo, who you got, man? Best verse and weakest verse, or less good verse?
I'd like to disagree. I'd like to disagree so that we could argue more our points. But honestly, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say Method Man, just the way he comes on. I would probably would have went the same way. Interesting fact: as much as I like Daz, he usually has the weakest verse on, and that's not a slight to him. You spitting with Corrupt. You spitting with Corrupt most of the time, and even with other people, he focuses on production. One of my top producers. That's another list, but yeah, I don't think it was. I know exactly. I figured from our previous conversations about Method Man, I thought I knew Absolute's two picks when you asked him that. So I'm gonna go ahead and second that motion.
Yeah, well, this is going to come as a big shock to everybody, and I suppose this first one is going to be real exciting because I'm going to agree with both of y'all. I'm just going to do that to myself for that one, but
I think a lot of people might agree, and I do agree. Like it is, I don't know. It's not to pick on Daz. It's just there's a team, and that's just it's the way things go, man. Somebody's better than somebody else. It doesn't mean that Daz is bad by any stretch of the imagination.
Nah, because we
But
all like Daz. Daz goes hard.
yeah,
Burton's clean.
yeah,
It just
yeah.
it felt very forced. Like
All right, all right. So let's move. Let's move on to the song coming in at number 4 of the top Posse Cuts in rap history is 24 Hours to Live by Mace, featuring the Locks, Black Rob, and DMX. R.I.P. This appeared on Mace's album Harlem World. Camo, what do you think having someone with Mace's style rapping with the Locks and DMX, man, and how did that turn out?
I probably have a look. I wasn't as surprised of that as other people because I was a big fan of Children of the Corn.
Bang, bang.
So I'd already
bang,
Mace Murder, and Killer Cam, that I was already like they had cleaned them up, and everybody didn't know that. For me, it wasn't out of place at all. Even with the kind of clean baby face kind of style he had and everything. I think the rest of the album kind of set the tone for that anyway. I always used to tell people, man, Mace is he's always smiling and getting jiggy and with the silver suits and all this, but Mace was a problem lyrically, and some of his earlier stuff was nowhere near what Puff had him coming out with. So I thought it was a good fit for the album. I think from what I knew from him, it wasn't that big of a surprise, but even the album itself kind of set the precedence, and it didn't seem out of place at all to me. In fact, that's still one of the best concepts for a song in hip hop.
Yeah,
That is a dope concept.
yeah.
And I'll leave it right there. I was a big fan of that song.
Okay, absolute. The song pops, man. The song does its thing, man. Why does it ride so hard?
Like, have you seen the video? Like, like it's on a bus, man. Now, I get it's a prison bus. I get it's a prison bus, but it's a ride song because, as a grown-up family, who hasn't done some of their best pondering about life on a road trip? Like, to be honest, right? And the biggest question in the world if you only had 24 hours to live, bro, like that's the kind of stuff that make you take a road trip. Like if you just own one and you're just like, you know what, this is what I do.
Well, theoretically, if you are on your bus ride to prison, you just had your last 24 hours to live. Theoretically. I mean,
I
you
was
can
going
make
to
a
say, if
solid
that road
argument for that.
trip's if that road is a trip on the way to a maximum security prison, then you'll be doing a lot of pondering for sure.
Hey, but that's what I'm saying. Like the concept of the song was, I use this word a lot, phenomenal, amazing, whatever. The concept was borderline perfect. And to see who all was on this song, you almost couldn't have seen, like there was no way this song doesn't work unless it had a symphony orchestra for the beat. Like there was nothing else, just strings and wind instruments. Like that's really the only way I could see this not working. But I mean, it to me, I've driven personally road trips to this song. I love this song. It gets constant play in my vehicle. So I understood it. I understood the assignment, as the kids say, immediately.
And I'd also like to add, when you mention instruments, I also look at it as a bit of an instrument, certainly an important tool. I thought this song did beautifully was the sound effects and stuff that help, that coincide with their lyrics to help paint the picture. When you hear the silencer go off and the car screech, we all know from our era, that was part of a song, part of an album, part of skits that brought it all to life. And that song is, again, another one of the best examples of that being employed, I think.
And that's why I jokingly said, did you see the video? Like, even if you didn't see the video, the song paints the picture for you.
Yeah, the engineers did a really good job with that. They hardly ever get any love from anybody, so we'll give the engineers some love. Camo, go back to you, man. Best verse and weakest. It's gonna be tough on this one, but who had the best? Who had the
Man, we
weakest?
listen to so many Posse Cuts preparing for this right here. That a lot of them's running together. It's like 50 Posse Cuts to make this list, so that's about 200
Yeah.
verses.
Cannabis wasn't
I
on
don't
this
know
one,
what's
just to
up.
refresh your memory.
Was Cannabis on this? I can't even remember.
No.
It's gonna be. I'm really biased around that era. Almost every single song, especially the Posse ones, it's hard for me not to go with X, man, because of his energy and the way he just, everybody killed it. But around that era, and still to this day, really, you know what I mean? It ain't like it changed, but I gotta go with X for the best verse on there. Weakest, I don't look at absolute. I don't know, man. That's super tough.
I'm not gonna give you the horn, so you can't wait this one out.
Styles, I don't know. It's too hard. This is too hard.
Oh, Styles. Oh, poor Styles. If
Too
Styles is
difficult.
watching, I hope Styles is watching because I want him to know that.
I love
just
Styles.
kidding, man. I'm just kidding, man. I know how hard that was. I'm not trying to discourage that.
I'd like to hear.
It's only gonna get harder
worse.
from this list.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear someone from this song answer that question. That would be. If anybody from this song gets mad about that answer, please offer your.
Who do you
Who you like the least? That's hard. That's mean.
All right, B.A.,
Sir.
your turn, man.
You, sir.
First of all, I showed the sign earlier for who had the best verse. First, one of the dopest, most fitting closing verses on the track ever. His verse ended the song. There could have been, the music had to cut off. There is nothing that could have been left when X was done with this verse. Like nothing. The way he started, 24 left until don't even get me started. Like the way he came in, it was like he was on the bus in holding. Like he was in the holding set. He couldn't wait to get out. Like he couldn't wait. Yeah. Like they was holding him back. But I'm like Camel, man. Like I struggled to find a bad verse, so I just call it my least favorite.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I wanted to say, and I actually listened to it about an hour before the show, just to make sure I was going to go with this answer, and I actually changed it after I listened to it. Originally, I was going to say my least favorite verse was Black Rob's, but my least favorite verse is Sheik's. Like Black Rob's verse was a problem. Like,
yeah, you can't say
Black Rob's verse was a problem. So if I had to pick one, it's Sheik. Again, to the Locks fans, my bad. It's three of them.
In all fairness, I was going to say Sheik, Styles, if you had to pick one, but I still don't like it. But yeah,
I will mute. I will mute you if you keep naming names. I'm getting serious about this horn over here, man. I'm sorry, it's going to my head.
I'm good. That's it. It's Sheik for me.
I'm gonna hurry up and go, man. I mean, hurry up and go with my picks because my favorite was Black Rob, man. I'm gonna go a little bit different because the way he came in too, man. If I was close to the ledge, I'd probably be in a wedge. Oh man, he came
planted between my legs.
Yeah, he came in hard, man. Least favorite for me was I'm gonna go with Mace on this one, to be real. And one, I'm not disparaging Mace. I really appreciate what Mace did. Mace had an era, which is, you know what I'm saying, that's huge for rappers when you get like an era of, people remember, you were doing your thing for several years.
Mm-hmm.
But I never was a huge fan. Plus, he went first on this, and that is a real handicap on a Posse Cut. It is. That's a real handicap on a Posse Cut because you got so many more people to go after you, and they usually save the veterans for last, kind of like a tradition. unless it's a DJ Clue mixtape, and then he'll put Fabulous on the end. But
And this might not be true, but in my head, not only do they let the hardest ones go last, in my head they go, "Oh, we're gonna let you go ahead and start this one out. If you ain't got the hardest verse,
You're not ready. What?
go ahead and start this." I mean, I don't think they say that, but they're like, "You go ahead and start it off, man. I like what you was doing right there."
But I also think Mace broke the cardinal rule of a posse track. Like if it's on a mixtape, it doesn't matter who goes first. But if it's on your album,
yeah, you got to go
you
last.
gotta be last.
You can
You
call
gotta be
last on
last.
that. You can
Yeah,
call last.
because you rewrite your verse 115 times until
yeah.
it's arguably the best verse. You have to go last.
You let everybody
get to it.
record. You let everybody record, and then you like, yeah, I gotta. Yeah, it's getting late, y'all. I'm gonna record mine tomorrow.
Yeah, you go home and repen 16 times if you got to. But yeah, like you said, that first slot was tough, man. That was a tough slot for this song.
And it only gets worse from here because now the number a tie for number 2. So the first track coming in at number 2. Oh, this is one of my favorites. First track coming in at number 2 for best posse cuts of all time. Reservoir Dogs by Jay-Z off Life and Times Volume 2 featuring Beanie Sigel, The Lox, and Sauce Money. Absolute, another feature with The Lox. Tell me why this group was such a sought-out feature at this time.
You mean besides the fact that you get the locks on the song? I mean, all right. Most importantly, you get Jada, right? But the locks. Okay, this is what people don't understand about the locks. They work well together in pocket, all three of them, and that's why majority of the time that they're on a feature, all three of them are on the song, right? Because they fit a puzzle piece that it doesn't matter what's connected on either other side. As long as you have the three of them connected, they can make anything work, what's in front or what's in back. And it doesn't really matter their order. That's the other special thing about them. Like if it doesn't matter if Jada's first, if Styles is first, or Sheik is first, it doesn't matter because the order that it's going to be chopped up in is based on, again, who's before them and who's after them, right? Because in most times, it's somebody, the three of them, and somebody, right? And that's the way it should be, for real. Like, in my opinion, they actually had the three best verses on this song, in my opinion, but we'll get to that in a minute.
All right, Camo. So many different styles on this song, and I don't mean Styles P. So many different styles on this track. And they say styles make fights in boxing. And that might be true in Posse Cuts too. So what is it that makes all these styles work on this track?
Well, I mean, that's the thing is you getting a little bit of something for all the fans. Whatever your thing that you're in, obviously this song was bar heavy, but everybody's got their favorite Lox, everybody's got their favorite Rockefeller guy, everybody's got so I mean, this gave you a chance to be like, all right, everybody ante up, all the Lox in. Let's get some of the hardest rock spitters, and let's see what everybody's got. Better bring your A game.
Plus, if you know you're on a track on Jay-Z's album, and Jay-Z's the last verse on that track, you know all of these guys were fairly young in their careers at the time. You know you got to go pretty hard on that. Yeah. All right, so big question. Camo, who had your favorite verse and who had your least favorite?
For me, this song, this one's the easiest one for me. All the verses were super hard, first off. Super hard. But Sauce, to me, we didn't get to see enough of Sauce Money. His lines are brilliant. They marinate well. You can come back to them sometime. You're like, you know what? I picked up that on the bar, but now I also see that was linked to this. And then, so I mean, easily Sauce is my favorite, taking nothing from nobody else. And not taking from Jay-Z. He knew the rules of the game and he reserved the right to go last. But, even though that was his song, I think all them other dudes smoked them. That's harsh for as hot as his verse was still. But yeah, they smoked them on that one, man.
That's fair. Absolute.
I started my previous statement by saying who I believe had the 3 best verses on the song.
Mm-hmm.
But clearly, the person that had the best verse said, "You bring it to me, I gotta lose your family. Gangsters don't die; they just get chubby and move to Miami."
Move to Miami.
Right? You know what I'm saying? Jada. And
All
again,
right.
look at the slot he fell in this song. Then look at what happened. Like old JR used to say from WWE, right? Business picked up. When Jada got to it, business picked up, right? My least favorite, it's not even my least favorite verse on the song, but it's my least favorite from him, which made me dislike it. Like for me, it's Beans. And I say this because it was an okay bar, an okay line for Beans, okay 16, whatever you want to say. And that was my problem with it. It was an okay for Beans. That's what made me not like it. Like, I know you, bro. Like, I know what you keep in the chamber. And it just seemed like they called you last, or you was there when they was recording, and then you was like, yo, let me hop in. Right? And you just went with what you had, what you had after everybody spit, and they just, oh yeah, put his up towards the top, because he just went with what he had. But my second least favorite was Jay, and I agree with Camo. Which you knew the rules of the game, baby. It's your album. You should have rewrote that a couple times, but that's a lesson he didn't learn to a few albums later. That when you have people on your song.
You've reached your limit.
Got
I'm
one.
talking. Shut the up.
Got one.
That's a damn shame.
I'm gonna go with Sauce Man, because that verse was insane. I have listened to that verse so many times. I can't repeat any of it on this show, but that verse was insane. I mean, that was Camo used the right word, man. That was a brilliant verse.
Yeah,
He got rid of the whole month of April just to take May off.
I will also say I gotta disagree with you, Absolute. My least favorite verse on that was somebody that I say is their least favorite verse on a lot of tracks they're on too, is Sheik. Because I usually on the locks I say that about Sheik. That's not to disparage Sheik at all. Sheik is obviously a good rapper, but I think he's probably to me the mostly least favorite out of those 3. But that's where I land on those 2. But I want to move to our second tie for number 2. It's second tie for number 2 in the top 5 Posse Cuts of all time. Scenario by Tribe Called Quest from the album The Low End Theory, and features leaders of the new school, released in 1991. Absolute, I'm coming back to you for this one. This is one of your favorite picks. Tell me why.
This, ladies and gentlemen, is what we call a posse record.
Bang, bang.
This is a true posse record. This ain't a bunch of label mates. This ain't a bunch of dudes in the industry that kind of want to work together, see if we can make a hit. That wasn't that, bro. This is the Native Tongues. If you don't know who the Native Tongues are, you got a problem. But this is the Native Tongues at their best. I love that if you watch the Scenario video, even the Native Tongues, Jungle Brothers, Moni Love, like even the people not in the group were in the video. Everybody was featured. And I mean, from Fife through the whole Leaders of the New, all the way to Q-Tip, man. Fire. It was something different, something unexpected, and it had levels. It was the first real posse record since the Symphony, in my opinion, that had levels. So that's why it's always been one of my favorites.
Camo, what does a song like this do for the culture, especially at that time when two huge groups get together like this?
Well, it just showed the camaraderie. A lot of those guys Voltroned it out a lot of times back then from those certain groups and stuff like that. And that's what's always nice to see about those dudes. They not beefing, they not doing this and that. They focused on the culture, they focused on music and uplifting people. So you can't be mad at none of them. You definitely can't be mad at the song they put together when they pair up and bring the best out of each other. That's what I thought they did. Was, everybody's in it. It's like, all right, we look around, we see who's around here. You better come. I mean, all of these tracks on this list, but I could just picture being in some of these rooms, and especially at that time when a lot of stuff was probably being recorded together in the same setting and stuff a lot of times, as opposed to not as much now. Yeah, I definitely think that right there helps bring everybody up a notch. But yeah, definitely important.
Yeah, I agree with you. This is one of those songs that I like because as soon as this song comes on, I feel good. Like as soon as you hear it come on, you just like, you start bobbing your head, whatever it is you do, you start vibing to it. You just feel good to that song, man. And that's why that's the that like subgenre and of the culture and that era was so wonderful, man, because it was just a celebration like that most of the time, and you just felt good all the time with that music, and I love that part of it, man. I really enjoy that part of it. All right, so now you gotta answer an even tougher one, and there's still one that's even tougher than this left. Absolute. Who had your favorite and who had your least favorite?
As I combine all the juice from the mind, he'll bring it back, come rewind, powerful impact, boom. First of all, the introduction to the masses. This is what this was. Introduction to the masses, right, of the Dungeon Dragon himself. My favorite verse is Buster's. Clearing away.
He was 19.
We had never seen anything like that, right? And we've seen a lot of people spit and have bounce and all of that, but until this dude started talking, you felt everything he said. You felt it through the song, like you said. Like when the song comes on, you just feel better. Like the build up when you get to Buster's verse, crazy. My least favorite, probably Charlie Brown's. Not because it was a letdown verse, because it wasn't. It just was a little more novice bar wise, but the energy was still phenomenal on his verse, right? But he was a energy kind of guy. He wasn't a dissecting, a deeply rooted writer, right? He brought a lot of energy in his stuff. So.
Yeah, Camo, what'd you think, man?
Yeah, I got to go with Buster as well, man. He was my favorite on this track. He was my favorite from the Leaders of the New School. I was actually probably say at one of my times, he was gearing up to be one of my favorite rappers. I thought. I still like Buster. He's still good and everything, but with his first album and everything, I was like, man, I'm really into this dude's style and stuff. So when the way he was rapping back then, I don't think we had ever seen anything like that at that time. I don't know that I want to do that, man. I don't.
Come on, man.
I don't want to agree.
I didn't do it
you.
for the same reason.
Yeah, I don't want to. Me and Absolute are
I
finding
didn't do
out.
it for the same reason. I know who you're gonna pick. I didn't do it for the same. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I had to pick somebody else. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to agree with Absolute every time, but we recently been finding out we got a lot of the same taste. So I'm not gonna do the same thing you doing. I'm gonna lock in. I'm gonna lock in just with the same answers as Absolute for the second time this show, just for camaraderie.
Well, I will change it up a little bit here. My favorite, it was Fight.
Oh!
I love Fife's verse, man. That was my favorite verse on there.
Oh, okay, all right, okay.
I love that verse. I loved it. I don't care. I'll say it. I loved it. I love this verse, and I'm not even going to talk about the rest of it. Buster was my least favorite verse just because of that.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it, bro. I couldn't do it. I was like, just say Charlie. Just say Charlie.
I'm moving along. Now, if you'll direct your attention to the center of the dance floor, we have the number one posse cut of all time. 4321 by LL Cool J from the album Phenomenon, and featured Method Man, Redman, and Cannabis at the height of his career, honestly.
Yeah.
All right, this is the one, y'all. Camo, what did this song mean when it came out, man?
Man, this song still means the same thing today. I still get the same feeling when this song comes on. Super excited, super hype. A lot of my favorite, again, you see who they keep going to for the posse cuts. When you going bar heavy, when you got a hype song, when you need to garner some attention around a project, you're going for some of the same guys, the Locks, Redman, Method Man. I mean, it's, and DMX at that time, relatively unknown. I mean, was that the first we got from him?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
first
I
official.
think so. I mean,
big
yeah,
push
we got a little
Of
something,
the new DMX.
Yeah, we
Right,
got
right.
we
After
got
the
the
DM
original
DMX the
tunnel
Great.
version. Yeah, we got the original tunnel version of Get At Me Dog, but we hadn't really got the full DMX to that track.
and
Yeah,
first
but that was-
feature, right? Big feature like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so to have and I get Cannabis was relatively new, same thing. So to have the veterans on there, LL doing what he does, especially when in that kind of company, and then Redman and Method Man, and then you got two new dudes that's giving the veterans, our favorites, a run for them, arguably the best verses on there. So yeah, man, this was super favorite, no surprise at all. I think we all agree that this is one of the hardest, toughest, the beat, the lyrics, the video, I mean, everything. They checking off all boxes on this. I think that's why it landed at number one. Love this song.
I agree with that completely. And that's obviously why it's at the top of the list. And I have nothing to disagree with on what you just said. Absolute. What did put all these guys on this one track create as far as art and culture is concerned, man?
2 words: lyrical competition. I say that on an album because that's very difficult to do. On a Posse record, if for those of you that indulge for a second, the Symphony might have been the last time that you heard multiple people where there was no letdown verse. Not only was there no letdown verse, that the person next knew their verse had to be better than the person before. Like you just knew it going in, right? Could you imagine being in that room and the Def Jam exec calls everybody and goes, "Hey, we got an idea and all of you guys are going to be on the song with LL." Could you imagine taking that phone call if you're ex in Cannabis, right? And you're like, "No, we just got here though. No, like we just got here. We just got here. We're happy to be here, but we just got here though." It's just like putting a bunch of savants in an area and just saying, "You got 5 minutes." And each of them basically putting on their own individual masterclass. That's really what it was. Because I can't wait till we get the second part of this question, because it's going to be hilariously, boy, this is going to be funny for sure.
Well, don't even ask me who's the least verse.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. We have to make these decisions. Somebody had your least favorite verse on there.
Oh, what's that? Oh, I'm sorry. They calling me.
And we're just at that time of the show right now. Absolute. You want to start that off? Or y'all want me to start it? I'll start it.
Matter of fact, you go first for this one. Yeah, you go first. I want to go last.
You in the hot seat this time.
Yeah,
I want to go last on this.
So my favorite verse on here was Cannabis. I just really thought Cannabis had so many bars on there, just one after the other on there. I was with everybody else riding on the Cannabis train, because Cannabis was at that point, he had a few features. Or several features by then, and I think that's why LL picked the fight with him. But he was coming in, those features, he was coming in about as hard as he could come in, man. I've never seen anybody have a better introduction to the game than he did with the features. He was coming in just crushing verses everywhere.
Unreal.
So
yeah,
if I have to pick this one, I mean, my least favorite, and it's not I'll say it easily. It was Method Man, and it's not against Miss Nothing. It's not to say it wasn't great. Every verse that all three of us are going to make a choice of which is the least favorite, and all of them, there's an argument to say that that's a ridiculous statement, because we have to ask this question because we asked it for the rest of them, and it's a ridiculous question, but we got to answer it. So that's mine. Yes, I picked Meth, and yes, it was a great verse, and that was a ridiculous answer, but I got to pick one. So Absolute, what's up, man?
I think he said he wanted to go last. I'll go
want to
ahead.
go last, man.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm
me
being
throw
a
him
terrible
the-
host. Camo.
No,
He threw you a lifesaver.
First off, I wanted to ask this. I wanted to pose this as a question, because when we were doing this list and remembering the verses and the songs, I don't know if the two of you will agree, but is there another Posse cut that you singing rapping every single word, line for line, bar for bar, everybody's verse, having as much fun as you do with this one right here? Because for me,
there's usually somebody that you skip over, and like we talked about on the last track.
I mean, for me, it would. I mean,
Yeah,
for me, it would be the.
Usually, not on this one.
Yeah.
There's I agree with you that usually there's
Yeah.
somebody that you don't really pay attention to.
it's the
I mean,
most
as far as
fun to
Posse
interact
Cuts,
with. I'm
it is great.
every person. Every time the verse comes on, I'm morphing into that person. I'm rapping it like them. I'm doing the you know the
I be switching
reverb
hats.
echoes. I'm the punch ins. I'm right there with them, like performing it with them on this song. And I just thought I realized that when I was going through the list, I'm like, I don't have near as much fun as much as I love those other songs. This one is the pinnacle for me. So I just wanted to say again that I participate with this song more than any. I know every bar, every ad lib, and everything on this song. I just wanted to.
Well, now that we got that out of
Favorite
the way,
and least favorite. I'm gonna do this one a little differently. I'm usually very focused on bars and lyrics and stuff. This one I'm gonna go a little different route. Not saying who's the hardest spitter or what, because this is all of them. I'm gonna say my favorite that I had the most fun with, that I enjoyed, that I'm laughing through is Redman's. Just love his verse so much. Just the way he's punching in and the lyrics, and that's the one I had the most fun with. So I'm gonna call that one my favorite. Of course, all of them's fire. And again, not focused on bars this time. My least favorite is LL's, only because I thought it was a little petty the way it went down. And we talked about this in our beef. And
I got it.
Only a little petty. It's all right.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at him. He didn't
did
lose
change
ranking
his verse.
in my. Huh?
He changed his verse.
He went back and that's the only reason. If I had to pick one, this made it easy. When
That's fair.
when I knew that was coming to me, I said I'm not going lyrics on this. Too hard to pick who had the.
Now I'm
Right.
jealous because I should have thought about that. That was a better way. You got out on a technicality, and that was a genius way to get out of it. Yeah, I had to throw something out there, but yeah, it is. I agree with that. It's just like choking. It's like choking in a battle round. You lose that round. He changed his verse. Absolute doesn't agree. Finish it off, man.
I don't give a damn that he changed his verse. He knew the rule. The rule was it's my song. I'm last. You know the rule. But I knew one of y'all was gonna bring that back. I wasn't sure who it was gonna be, but I knew he was gonna suffer because of our previous conversation.
I was
For
looking
me,
for something, man, to not have to pick a verse because I couldn't. was
your
too
argument
hard.
is great though. I mean, Red is one of the most, like, if you know all the words to Red's verse on that song, it is one of the funnest to do. Like, I like to flip my hat around and act
hold on.
like I'm that dude.
Hold on. You don't get to go through all of them and talk
Oh, I'm
about
not.
them.
I'm about to
name
tell
your
you.
first
I'm right there, sir. I take them on all shapes, sizes, and forms and spit on anybody who ain't close enough to show 0 to 60. I'm already doing 100 when I'm blunted, and I give it to any that want it. By far,
No.
by far, Cannabis had the best verse on that joint. Right, clean top. Now, y'all gonna disagree with my least favorite verse, and it's okay if you do. But my least favorite verse on this entire song was Master P on the remix. What the hell was, like, why was he even there? Why was he? Why was that a thing? Why was that a thing? Like, I'm sorry, But that's the truth. Like, why was that a thing? Why did that happen? Def Jam
That's as
called
bad.
me. Like, what
That's as
what
bad
happened?
as That's as
What
bad as putting BG on Rakim's last album.
Like, what happened? Like, for real, like, what happened? Like, who hurt you, Def Jam?
Well,
Who
there's a
hurt you?
reason.
That's what I want to
There's
know.
a reason. There's two versions of that song. I thought the same
And there's
thing.
a
I was
reason
going,
why the other version doesn't get play except once every 15 years on BET Late Night. Because no one cares about that other version.
Look, the
Nobody.
reason. Look, Master P had a lot of money at one time. He could have paid a lot of money to get on that track.
But that's my story, man. I'm sticking to it. That's the worst part.
that's a good answer. I
That's the
like
worst
that.
part.
Yeah, well,
I
that's
didn't
that is
consider
a everybody. I went first and I lost in that round because everybody found a smoother way around it than I had.
He won't ever go
Well,
first again. Absolutely.
That's what happens. I knew, just like we said, Jay-Z knew the rules. I knew the rules, and I decided to do it anyway. I
guarantee you.
got Jay-Z on that. I got Reservoir Dog on that.
Sir, yes, sir.
We can
That's
give
how,
up him ever going first on another one like that one.
Yeah.
Yes, you can.
Out.
Anyway, that's our show. Y'all, appreciate y'all for hanging in there. Well, hanging in there with us. That is the top 5 greatest Posse Cuts in rap history. So thank y'all for being there. Don't forget to smash that like and subscribe and do your thing. So for Camo Collins and Big Absolute, I'm your boy Chad and Books, Rhymes, and Life. Y'all be good.
Books, Rhymes, and Life.